The afternoon sun blazed over Pine Valley as Maya Bennett guided her silver sedan through the quiet streets. She had just left the hospital after a 12-hour shift, exhausted but satisfied with the lives she had helped save today. Her natural hair, styled in elegant locks that reached past her shoulders, framed her face beautifully. She wore her hospital administrator badge still clipped to her blazer, red and blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. Maya's heart sank. She had not been speeding. Her registration was current. Everything was in order. Still, she pulled over to the curb, hands already moving to the steering wheel where they would remain visible. This was not her first encounter with law enforcement, and she knew the protocol that kept people like her safe. Officer Kent Mason stepped out of his patrol car, his boots heavy against the pavement. He was a broad-shouldered man with a permanent scowl etched into his features. He approached her window with deliberate slowness, his hand resting on his belt. Maya rolled down her window completely, offering a polite smile despite the anxiety twisting in her stomach. License and registration, Mason barked without preamble, without explanation. Of course, officer. May I ask why you stopped me? Maya kept her voice steady and calm. You will know when I tell you. License and registration. Now. Maya reached slowly for her purse, narrating each movement. I am reaching for my purse on the passenger seat. My wallet is inside. She retrieved the documents and handed them over. Mason snatched them from her hand, his eyes scanning the license with obvious suspicion. Maya Bennett, he read aloud, his tone mocking. This address current? Yes, sir. Step out of the vehicle. Maya's pulse quickened. I do not understand. What violation did I commit? Are you refusing a lawful order? Mason's hand moved closer to his weapon, a gesture designed to intimidate. No, sir. I am complying. Maya unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door, stepping onto the sidewalk. Several pedestrians across the street had stopped to watch. One man pulled out his phone, camera pointed in their direction. Mason circled her like a predator. Hospital administrator, ha! Fancy title for someone who probably checks people in at the front desk. His words dripped with contempt. Let me guess. Affirmative action hire. Maya's jaw tightened, but she refused to take the bait. I earned my position through years of education and hard work. Now, please tell me why you stopped me. Your hair, Mason said suddenly, gesturing at her locks. It is a safety hazard. Obstructs the view of drivers behind you. Could cause an accident. Maya stared at him in disbelief. My hair? That is not a traffic violation. That is not even logical. I decide what is logical out here. Mason walked back to his patrol car and returned with a pair of heavy-duty scissors from his emergency kit. The metal gleamed in the sunlight. We are going to fix this problem right now. Horror washed over Maya's face. You cannot be serious. You have no right to touch me. I have every right to enforce safety regulations. Mason grabbed a handful of her locks. The watching crowd gasped collectively. Someone shouted for him to stop. Maya tried to pull away, but Mason's grip was ironclad. The scissors made a sickening snipping sound as he cut through her hair. Thick ropes of lock fell to the ground, each one representing years of growth and care. Tears burned in Maya's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of this man who wanted to break her spirit. The violation was not just physical. It was an assault on her dignity, her identity, her humanity. Mason cut again and again, leaving her hair jagged and uneven. The crowd had grown larger now. Phones were everywhere, documenting every moment of this abuse of power. Stop right there. A commanding voice cut through the chaos. Sergeant Linda Torres sprinted across the street, her hand held up in warning. She was a 20-year veteran, respected throughout the department. Mason, what in God's name are you doing? Mason released Maya, the scissors still in his hand. Handling a traffic stop, Sergeant. Nothing that concerns you. Nothing that concerns me. Torres looked at Maya, at the hair scattered on the ground, at the phone cameras capturing everything. You just assaulted a civilian. Drop those scissors. Now. Mason complied reluctantly, his confidence beginning to crack. Torres approached Maya with genuine concern. Ma'am, are you hurt? Do you need medical attention? I need justice, Maya said quietly, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. I need this man held accountable. Torres nodded and spoke into her radio. Dispatch, this is Sergeant Torres. I need a supervisor at my location immediately. We have a situation. She turned back to Mason. Give me her license and registration. Mason handed over the documents. Torres walked to her patrol car to run Maya's information through the system. The seconds stretched into eternity. Mason stood rigid, perhaps beginning to sense that something was wrong. The dispatch radio crackled to life, loud enough for everyone to hear. Sergeant Torres, be advised. The individual in question is Maya Bennett, spouse of Sheriff David Bennett. Repeat, Sheriff David Bennett. The color drained from Mason's face. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Torres walked back slowly, her expression a mixture of fury and grim satisfaction. You just cut the sheriff's wife's hair, Mason. You just ended your career. Another patrol car arrived, then another. Word had spread fast through the department. Officers emerged, their faces showing shock and disapproval as they assessed the scene. The crowd had grown to nearly 50 people, all bearing witness. Maya stood tall despite everything, her shortened hair a testament to the injustice she had endured. Then he arrived. Sheriff David Bennett's black SUV pulled up with authority. He was a tall man with silver threading through his dark hair, a man who had spent 30 years building trust between law enforcement and the community. He had seen racism in his department before and had worked tirelessly to root it out. But this was personal in ways that transcended his badge. David's eyes found Maya first. The pain in his expression was immediate and raw. He crossed to her in 3 long strides, his hands gentle as they cupped her face. Baby, are you okay? I am not, Maya whispered. But David, he cannot get away with this. Not just for me. For everyone else he has done this to. For everyone he would have done this to. David nodded, his jaw set with determination. He turned to face Mason, and the officer actually took a step backward. Officer Mason. You are under arrest for assault, deprivation of civil rights under color of law, and official misconduct. David's voice carried across the street, ensuring every witness heard. Sergeant Torres, take him into custody. Torres moved forward with her handcuffs. Ken Mason, you have the right to remain silent. Sheriff, wait, Mason pleaded, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. I did not know. I did not know who she was. David's eyes blazed. And that is exactly the problem. You thought you could violate someone's rights because you believed they had no power, no voice, no one to protect them. You are wrong. This community will protect its own. This department will not tolerate racism or abuse. Not now. Not ever. The handcuffs clicked into place. Mason was LED away, his head down, his career over. The crowd erupted in applause, a song that mixed relief with righteous anger. But David knew the work was far from finished. This was one officer, one incident. The rot went deeper than a single bad apple. 3 days later, the community center overflowed with residents. Body camera footage from multiple officers had been released, along with the civilian recordings. The evidence was irrefutable. Maya stood at the podium, her hair now styled short, embracing the change while refusing to hide the reason behind it. What happened to me was wrong, she began, her voice steady and clear. But I am not the first, and without change, I would not have been the last. Officer Mason believed he could humiliate me without consequences because of the color of my skin. He was wrong. We are here today to ensure that every officer in this department understands that accountability is not optional. Justice is not negotiable. David stood beside her, his support unwavering. We had launched a full review of our training protocols, our hiring practices, and our disciplinary procedures. We are implementing mandatory bias training, community oversight, and body cameras for all officers at all times. These are not suggestions. These are requirements. The crowd responded with hope. Real, tangible hope. The kind that comes not from empty promises but from concrete action. Mason would face criminal charges. Other officers who had complaints against them would be investigated thoroughly. The department would transform, or those who refused to change would find themselves without a badge. Maya looked out at the faces before her, black, white, Latino, Asian, young and old, all united in the demand for justice. Change is possible, she said. But only if we fight for it. Only if we refuse to accept cruelty as normal. Only if we stand together and say, enough. The applause was thunderous. In that moment, beneath the fluorescent lights of a community center, hope bloomed like spring flowers after a harsh winter. The road ahead would be long. There would be setbacks and resistance. But the foundation had been laid. Truth had been spoken. Justice, real justice, had taken root.